Hello, my name is Lisa Orazio, and today I will be discussing the effects of social media on communication and the self surrounding social comparisons and the self-concept. Social comparison is a practice old as time, but in modern times, there's more to compare ourselves to than ever before. In the last couple of decades, social media has become a worldwide phenomenon, a staple in the lives of people all across the globe. This intent is generally innocent enough to stay connected to and share our experiences with our friends and family. However, there's a darker side to these platforms that is often not taken into consideration, and that is the effect it can have on mental health. Many times, simply scrolling out of boredom can leave the viewer with feelings of inferiority and inadequacy. But how much of what we see, and share for that matter, is actually true? In Ronald Adler's Interplay, he says, social networking profiles are an exercise in impression management, and users often omit the warts and bumps of their everyday lives. Impression management, also known as self-presentation, is defined as the conscious or subconscious process in which people attempt to influence others' perception about a person, object, or event by regulating and controlling information in social interactions. Of course, when sharing oneself with a public audience, it makes sense to put your best foot forward. But when omitting the bumps and warts, as Adler says, information is fragmentary. And although most users are no stranger to this concept, it becomes all too easy for viewers to forget this and begin to compare themselves and their lives to the seemingly happier, better, and stories that they're being told. But stories are exactly what they are. All is not as it seems, and perception is not reality. I've been on both sides of this fence in my life. For many years, my Facebook page was full of pictures and statuses highlighting my happy family life. I posted countless photos of myself with my husband and children on all sorts of vacations, holidays, and celebrations. We were always smiling with our arms wrapped around each other, and some sort of caption about how lucky I was or how happy we were. My husband would even make a point to comment, making sure to express to the world how much he loved me. And it worked. We were constantly filled with compliments about how wonderful our family was or how we were relationship goals to other couples. But the information I omitted was far more than that of which I shared. Behind closed doors, I was living a hell on earth. Of course, I didn't share that. My husband was an abusive alcoholic or drug addict. I did not post photos of the cuts and bruises I endured after an episode of him being blackout drunk. I didn't post about the police visits, the arrests, the DCF involvement, or the humiliation I endured when he stole my identity, robbed my parents, or emptied the children's piggy banks to feed his addictions. Not only was I trying to hide my embarrassment and my unhappiness and convince people I was leading a happy life, but looking back, it's pretty clear I was also trying to convince myself. This is why when I finally found the courage to leave the situation after 14 years and share my truth, those that had been following me on social media during this time, and even people close to me, were completely aghast. They couldn't believe this happy, seemingly perfect couple was largely an illusion. Despite having this experience and being fully aware of the consistent falsifications that are shared on social media, to this day, I still find myself struggling to not fall into the fallacy of the grass being greener on the other side. After my divorce, I began spending more time on social networking sites than ever. I spent hours scrolling and ruminating about my situation. I was jealous of the intact families and struggled with feelings of failure and loneliness. One couple in particular, who happened to be very close friends of mine, I envied terribly. Every day there were pictures of their large family together, laughing, having these wonderful adventures, and enjoying life. And my life was sad in comparison. I was now a single mom, struggling to make ends meet, with no partner and feeling terribly alone. This tool that was meant to keep me connected to others actually did the opposite as I fell into depression and started to isolate from everyone in my life. In spite of knowing these platforms paint an incomplete picture, I quickly became stuck in the cycle of compare and despair. Social networking makes it profoundly easy to manipulate other people's perceptions, whether purposely or not. And when it comes to perceiving others, we can only go by what we discern as real. Regarding accessing information, Adler says, you can only make sense out of what you know, and nobody knows everything about even the closest people in their lives. When the information becomes available, perceptions of others change. Concerning social networking, it is imperative to practice mindfulness. Be aware of your own narrative and watch your perceptions closely. Keep in mind, you can't believe everything you see, because when used correctly, it can be a tremendous instrument for keeping in touch, attaining support, and even providing motivation to better your life. Just don't get caught up in the negative.